Alright, so we're back once again today, and today we're going to be going over ranked arms race. Basically, the clown fiesta, the shit show, the absolute disaster that is this game. Well, I say disaster, maybe that's a bit of a strong word, but we're going to be going over the game mode, what I thought about it. I'm currently ranked 2, I think. Yeah, I've been playing, I think I have like 30 games. Currently ranked 2. I played like 10 games today, lost 9, but then again I did save a star on a lot of them, so it's not all that bad as the Des Moines goes bye-bye. Always good to see. But yeah, so what we're going to go over just the game mode, my impressions of it, what I got off, what I kind of felt about it, because I went into this feeling relatively optimistic. I thought it'd be kind of fun to have finally a 12v12 ranking mode that I could actually participate in, because I don't think if there was one beforehand, or before I started playing, I wasn't able to play it, so this is definitely a first for me. First of all, I have a hard time determining the usefulness of the caps. They serve, except for, well, obviously except for the actual, the final key area that spawns, but the caps to me just seem like non-existent. It seems like everyone ignores them. Nobody really goes to them, especially not the DDs. And I suppose that's a byproduct of having 12 ships in the game. You have like probably 5 radars. Like, realistically you could have 5 radars in the game very, very easily, especially with people taking the Stalingrad, the Moskva, Des Moines, Salem, stuff like that. So again, caps aren't really all that utilized, and they serve no real purpose. That's basically my first opinion on that. Moving on though, well, except for the healing buffs actually are really useful. But then, even then, they don't get used all that much. You basically have to get, if you get the maximum of the healing buffs, you can basically counteract the fire. But yeah, not incredibly useful, but nice to have. One thing I have noticed though, and I did notice, well, up until basically today when I went on my losing streak, is that the game seemed kind of a lot less swingy. I think, I don't know if it's a byproduct of it being ranked game mode or something else, but up until today, they seem to be a lot less, you know, stomp fest. Players seem to be playing a lot more passively. They seem to be actually thinking a little tiny bit more about what they're doing and what they're going to actually do in the game. Which is actually really nice. It's probably some of the best fun I've had playing the game in a long time. Because when people think about the game, it makes it a lot more tactical, makes it a lot more involved. You're actually kind of engaged with it a lot more. Because, you know, previously playing random battles, sometimes you'd be playing the game and then halfway through I would just alt-tab out and just maybe read an article or something like that. Because, well, you know the shitfest that's going to happen in random battles. No one wants to sit through that. And there just frankly isn't all that much you can do, especially in 12v12 random battles. So yeah, definitely a lot more engaging. You do still get things like this with the St. Louis turning full broadside. But he does manage to slow down slightly, but he still gets hit with a Citadel. 17k, always nice to have. And if you'll take notice of my position now, I'm basically sitting full. Well, I'm not sitting full broadside, but my position is such that I have 3 or 4 battleships now that I can create a crossfire on, which is basically why I'm just going to sit here now and just ram shells into the Kremlin, into the Montana, into the St. Louis, all that stuff. But with that being said, ooh, look at that juicy Kremlin. Basically, the only counterpoint to the Kremlin, for it not being overpowered, is that when it's flat broadside, you can citadel it really nicely, as you've seen to the intro of this game. But yeah, generally, I've been playing the Thunder a hell of a lot. I've played actually a lot of the Yamato too, as we get a decent 24k salvo on the Kremlin. They tend to be the ships I've had the most success on. I have played a little bit of the gearing, but in 12v12, you have such little impact on it. Well, it's not that you have such little impact, is that, again, coming back to the risk-reward profile, is that one mistake in a 12v12 and you're basically dead. Especially in a DD. BBs are a lot more forgiving, so that's generally the way I like to play. I don't like to play. I don't want to take the chance of losing a star just because I decided to play a DD. But that being said, if you're actually really good in DDs, definitely play them. But I just want to grind through this as quickly as possible. That's why I'm playing ships like the Thunder and the Yamato. But generally, I think ships that would be strong for this game mode tend to be those really, really strong BBs. I haven't seen... Now, obviously, you get ships like the Shimikazes, you know, you get the, just the constant DDs, or the constant battleships that you're going to see in everything. You see a shitload of Groza Kurfürst too, even though, why would anyone take those ships? Unless that ship is your only tier 10, which is then that's understandable, but again, for some reason, it's always those ships that pop up in ranked game modes, even though they aren't actually all that great. So I would not recommend ships like that. Obviously, again, Kremlin, really good ship, definitely. Probably actually one of the best ship to take into ranked game modes. Just because of the fact that it's so unkillable. Unless you're a literal clown sailing full broadside, like this Montana, for example. But yeah, I think overall, obviously my experience is pretty anecdotal, so take it with a grain of salt, because if you can't actually tell long term if ranked game modes would actually, you know, make the player base less stupid, but I definitely get that impression that people are actually playing a lot more cognitively in this game mode as opposed to normal random battles when I do decide to play them. And I think that's something Wargaming really should look at, especially for the longevity of the game. It's one thing to have the game being in a pretty bad state for like maybe a month or two, or 3 months, or 4 months, or 5. No, let's just say 3 or 4 months. But long term, you're just going to hemorrhage your player base, and the game's going to decline and decline and decline, and you're going to have no game left. So, if this does remedy the situation a little bit of people being bad per se, then definitely I would think about keeping a more permanent game mode in like this. That being said, though, this could be a byproduct of being like I think this game in particular, and a lot of the games I play are at least I think they're at least rank 5 or above. So again, take that into consideration. Higher tiers tend to have better players. I know that's a shock, but that tends to be the case. That being said, though, this game has been pretty successful. We've got 48 shells, 6 citadels, and 198k. And basically, it's all a result of good positioning. Like I could basically aim like a clown and hit a broadside in this game, just due to the fact that I'm positioned so well. We do go for the St. Louis, and I think we are going to get him. I think we do. Yep, we do get him. We add another Citadel to our tally, and that's basically one of the reasons I love playing the Thunder. And generally, I in ranked, I have been playing a lot of the Yamato, and I have been playing a lot of the Thunder, but I tend to prefer the Thunder over the Yamato just because of the fact that you get those guns that are so goddamn accurate. Whereas I haven't got the Legendary module yet on the Yamato, otherwise I would be playing that a hell of a lot more, but, you know. Stuff happens. I'm still grinding for that. I will get it eventually, and then I'm gonna give I'll give an overall impression of, you know, how the Yamato fits my playstyle, but that's coming up in the future. This Minotaur, you know, when I said that the player base tends to play a little bit better in ranked, you still get stuff like this though. And as you'll see, me being improved by rank game modes means that the Minotaur, for making a mistake, gets that. Now, as you can see, we're pretty much in a really bad spot. We're down ships. They got our Z-52 for some reason decided to rush the cap, even though I was in the cap. He does manage to take out the Friesland, but Well, the Montana does, but the Shimakaze still is at large. Now, I'm in a really bad spot at this point. I've got the Kremlin facing Bowen, I've got the Groza first. If I shoot, he spots me. Also, they got a GK coming around, so, and a Montana right there, so I can't actually push into 3 BBs. Plus, the Shimakaze still is at large, so I'm at a severe risk. If the Shimakaze comes around, like the side I'm looking at right now of that island, and just rushes me, there's not really all that much I can do because I have to keep my guns pointed forward. Just because of the fact if any of those BBs come straight up. Yeah, and there goes the Yoshino. But any of those BBs come straight at me, then basically I die. That being said though, I need to keep a little bit of control, so I keep myself on the cap. Luckily enough, the Curve does show a little bit more broadside. I decided to switch to AP because it's only going to take 10 seconds. I do have Expert Loader, I think. Yeah, I do. If that's what you call it. But I do have that skill, which means we get 4 salvos off, and we do 7k, or 8k, sorry. Brings us up to 275k, which is a pretty nice tally. Definitely one of my better games in ranked. Generally, I tend to be averaging around at least 100k a game. I think the worst game I had was probably 80k in the gearing. But again, I'm pretty out of touch with DD play, which needs to be rectified because I'm currently grinding the British DD line. But that being said, with a nose in Kremlin, there's not all that much I can do. This rank game mode has been fun. It's not been perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it has been a lot more fun than other rank game modes. And I definitely hope Wargaming looks into doing something a little bit more like this in the future. Maybe not this particular 12v12 ranked sprint kind of game mode, but something similar to that. And, you know, what I dreaded the most happened, and as a result, I wave bye-bye to the world, and I get detonated, basically. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, that was basically my impressions of the ranked sprint so far. I'm still yet to cap out. I'll probably cap out today, but until next time, I'll see you in the next one. And here's a little bit of salt. Here's a little bit of salt, just to top off the video.